Magandang umaga, magandang hapon, magandang gabi mga kaproyekto kung nasan man kayo ngayon. Ako po si Laloy Claudio. I'll be hosting this episode. This is a little bit of a follow-up, not so follow-up episode kasi same yung guest pero slightly different yung topic. Yung topic natin last time nung kausap natin yung guest was yung impeachment. And I'm so, well, medyo Nostradamus yung guest natin, but that's not necessarily a good thing because our guest predicted na magkakaroon ng problema sa Supreme Court and the last time we saw him, since we saw him, nagkaroon nga talaga ng problema yung impeachment sa Supreme Court. Maybe we can touch on that a little bit later on. Pero ang pangunahing paksa natin ngayon ay yung paksa ng SONA. At ang ating returning guest, of course, is Professor Aris Arugay, who is a professor and chairperson at the Department of Political Science sa UP. He's also a visiting senior fellow sa Institute of Southeast Asian Studies, Yusof Ishak Institute in Singapore, and he is the editor of Asian Politics and Policy, isang academic journal na isa sa mga pinakatanyag na academic journal sa Pilipinas. Welcome back our Nostradamus, Professor Aris Arugay.
Thanks for having me again, Leloy, at magandang araw sa mga listeners at watchers ng Proyekto Pilipino.
Maraming salamat for joining us. I like the fact that we're meeting maybe a week after the SONA. Kasi alam ko nung SONA, marami kang mga quick takes afterwards at maraming mga quick takes afterward. Pero ngayon, siguro you've had time to chew on the SONA, you've had time to chew on the quick takes. Now na medyo kalmado na yung atmosphere, anong pinaka take home mo sa SONA or among the many quick takes, what's the quick take that you think is going to define this SONA?
Right. Yung ginawa ko kasi, Leloy, before itong Sona na to last week, I rewatched the previous Sonas, no? And may pattern na fulfill yung SONA last week, no? So President Marcos Jr. always starts off with the economy, no? And although this siguro may three main takeaways. One is that uh, wala na yung wala na yung ganong kalaking political capital pagdating nitong SONA na ito, no? Because fourth SONA na niya, but the thing is his approval ratings are at its lowest, no? Although nag-bounce back ng konti. He prefaced the SONA with the performance of the administration, at least dun sa senatorial elections, no? Medyo humbling yung start. He called on an end to political divisiveness, although sa akin performative yun more than anything, no? The second is ang daming nilist na achievements, but in the end, whether or not these are really felt, perceived, is another thing. And then finally, yung may mga hindi na cover na topics, no? Hindi nabanggit yung impeachment, hindi nabanggit yung ICC arrest ni Duterte. Uh, yung highlight ng SONA, yung parang uh, uh, anti-corruption turn, no, ng Marcos Jr. administration, which has never been the political branding of the Marcos dynasty. So sa akin, yung tatlong yun yung pinaka nakakagulat. And in fact, yun yung pinaka-highlight, di ba? Doon nagtayuan yung, napakamot yung ulo ko, doon nagtayuan yung mga politiko na parang wala yatang reflexivity yung some of the politicians who are there because they were jubilant about what the president has announced, but at the same time, a lot of the issues pertaining to transparency and accountability, pwede natin i-point yung finger sa performance ng mga politikong nandun, no? Nung SONA.
So, nabanggit mo sa simula na when he started, merong pagtanggap na yung mga pagbabago baka hindi nararamdaman ng mga tao. But at the same time, he also had to talk about his achievements. Do you think he was able to balance this well enough? Kasi on the one hand, kailangan may humility, but on the other hand, inevitably presidente ka, kailangan mong mag-report, kailangan mong sabihin na may nagawa ka. Do you think he was able to achieve this balance?
Well, yun naman supposedly, no, ang nature ng isang SONA, no? You truthfully uh tell not only the members of Congress but also the people at large what is the state of the country. Um maraming statistics, maraming mga proyekto, and it's not clear to me whether ito ba talaga na-achieve nung last year.
Mm.
Ano yung na-achieve na ng mga previous years na nire-report pa rin niya. So, uh, ang nireport ba niya yung na-achieve nung nakaraang taon lang o simula nung naging presidente siya? So, it was quite overwhelming at some point, no? To the point na nalunod na tayo sa detailing. But sa akin, ang litmus test talaga dyan kung nararamdaman ba. Yung kondisyon ng bansa nung last week, yung pagbaha, no?
I see.
And the three typhoons or weather disturbances that occurred, the casualties of the flooding, particularly in Luzon. In other words, yung uh, kahit yung circumstances nung SONA very difficult on the part of Marcos Jr. and for him to be able to even make claim na maayos yung bansa, etc. Hindi nakakakonek dun sa mismong pinagdadanasan o dinadanas ng mga tao on the ground, no? So I think
Mm.
that it's quite clear dapat while the state of the nation is a listing of ito nagawa ko na, which for me is like in the first place trabaho mo 'yun, di ba? So
Mm.
I mean the SONA for me is supposed to be forward looking as well, no? Lalo na pagdating ni Marcos Jr. who is at his midpoint, no? 3 taon na lang siya, no? And
Mm.
as I mentioned before, this is a this is a president who campaigned with so much promises, no? And at midpoint, no? Let's just say na and his popularity ratings will reveal, medyo may voters at remorse na tayong
Mm.
nababasa, no? People are realizing na teka, parang nag-online shopping ka, parang hindi ito yata yung binili ko, ha. Parang hindi yata ito yung pinangako sa akin na pamumuno, hindi ito yung pinangako sa akin governance. So I think it's quite obvious yun dun sa SONA that even himself, even Marcos Jr. seemed exasperated to the point na he had to resort to shame, no? Name calling, yung pagsabi sa mga politiko na mahiya naman kayo, no? So for me,
Mm.
sa
Tama.
akin, parang um, uh, kung ikaw presidente, that's very soft, no? You
Mm.
have a big stick. You're the chief executive. Hindi lang yung dapat mahiya kayo. It's supposed to be humanda kayo sa kailangan kayong managot, no? Hindi lang yung you shame. I think at this point, no, shaming our politicians no longer works.
If it ever did, di ba? If it ever
Exactly.
did. Ah,
Exactly. So sa akin performative 'yun eh. Yung mahiya
mm.
naman kayo, etc. Um kasi sa akin yung corruption tsaka yung mga anomalies in project implementation. Corruption is oppression eh,
Mm.
no? Hindi ka lang nagnanakaw, inaapi mo yung mga taong bayan. Parang sinasabi mo na I can really get away with everything and there's nothing that you can do about it, no? So I think hindi na yung however, for Marcos to call out, no, his own allies, no, ang dami naman dun sa SONA, allies niya to, napakanipis na minority doon. I think it's really ano na no, very off-brand, no, nitong
I,
government na to. And therefore, it was a bit surprising but sa akin it could have been firmer, no? But that's just me.
I want to return to itong tinatawag ng mga iba, and I don't know if you agree with it, yung Pinoy 2.0 strategy towards the end. But for now, you mentioned something that I found very interesting earlier when you said ang daming detalye na siguro nalunod yung mga viewers. And it's very interesting because I was watching also the coverage of the SONA. Maraming mga tao na sinasabi na compared to previous speeches, he spoke more Tagalog. Isa pang very Pinoy again, which means he was trying to communicate not with the diplomats in the room, not with China, not with the United States. He was trying to communicate with yung constituency niya. Pero gaya na sabi mo, nagtatagalog nga siya, nilulunod naman niya yung constituency niya with all these facts. Amidst this morass of facts, are there a couple of things very very specific highlights or policy recommendations that you found interesting or you found that you totally disagree with na pwede nating i-point out sa viewers natin, things that may have gone unnoticed?
Well, sa akin yung he was mentioning kasi I cannot help but think about yung mga sinasabi niyang accomplishments and achievements dun sa survey ng Pulse, no, na assessing the performance of his government across a host of topics, no, across a host of issues. Ang lumalabas kasi yung pag-announce niya ng mga accomplishments, dun siya ina-assess na mababa eh, 'di ba?
Mm.
Inflation, curbing poverty, generation of jobs, economic growth and development. So, sa akin kahit anong lista mo, but at the end, at present, the Filipino people, if we will look at surveys, don't really think highly of your economic performance, no? But
Yeah.
yung detalye ng SONA, I think nabanggit yung sa akin parang ano doon nabanggit yung gusto niyang ibalik yung gusto niyang paigtingin pa yung 4Ps, no? Yung conditional cash transfer, which has been undermined by his own coalition by introducing itong unconditional cash transfers, AKAP, lahat nitong ayuda na walang kondisyon yun eh. These are basically just dole outs, no? So
Mm.
how can you tell na ibalik natin yun, masyado ng talamak yung and if you tell people now, oh, yung ayuda ngayon may mga kondisyon na, sabi ng mga taong bayan, di ba may time na walang kondisyon, ba't ngayon may kondisyon na, no? Dati we were receiving all of this without strings attached. Now you're telling us there's strings. So uh, sa akin may disconnect, no? And I think this speaks highly of political will and leadership on the part of Marcos Jr., no?
Dun,
And
dun sa
uh,
dun sa disconnect lang, well, alam ng mga regular viewers natin na preferred ko yung hindi yung pinapababa, hindi dapat ang priority pinapababa yung presyo ng bilihin. Kasi sa totoo, hindi naman talaga bumababa ang presyo ng bilihin. Ang inflation rate is tumataas, pinapaliit lang natin yung inflation rate. At saka yung isa pa, mas gusto ko yung word na pagiging abot kaya kaysa dun sa inflation. Kasi kunwari nagkaroon ng inflation pero mas mabilis yung pagtaas ng sahod or mas dumaming trabaho, mas nagiging abot kaya. Anyway, that's my own advocacy. Pero itong issue ng pagiging abot kaya, which is my preferred way of phrasing it, sabi ng Makati Business Club na medyo magaling yung Marcos administration dito sa issue na to. Gayong ang nakikita natin is mabilis yung paglago ng ekonomiya pero mabagal yung inflation. And I was listening to the coverage ng ANC, sabi ng Makati Business Club representatives na very rare yun kasi usually pag lumalago ang ekonomiya, tumataas din yung presyo ng bilihin dahil yumayaman yung mga tao at mas malaking demanda. So sabi nila there's a very impressive actually yung top line numbers ng Marcos administration. Anong take mo, Aris? Bakit ang laki ng disconnect? Kung maganda yung top line, mababa yung inflation rate, mabilis yung growth, pero malaking discontentment. What explains that disconnect?
well, ang yun may mga taon naman talaga tayo na the macro fundamentals of our economy are really good, no? And kaya nga parang lumalabas is it growth with development, no? In other words, uh, uh, itong good news on the economy, nararamdaman ba to, no, ng
Mm.
karamihan ng mga Pilipino? So, if not, then there's that disconnect. So, while you have the winners of the current economic setup, how do you take care of those who are not really winning, those who are really disadvantaged, no? So ano yun it's a balancing that act that the government can do, while the numbers at the macro level might be good, but if people still feel the crunch, no, they have jobs but the jobs are really not, you know, not worthy of decent living, 'di ba? Hindi naman yung kasi kung bibilangan mo
Tama.
unemployment or ano, no,
Yeah.
but are these quality jobs that people are able to really purchase goods and serve and services na yung sinasabi mo abot kaya, no, yung kaya nila, but if not, then they might have wages but it's insufficient
Yeah.
because only a few or a handful are benefiting from the good economic macro fundamentals.
So, yun nga eh. So, ang hirap i-quantify nun, di ba? Well, kunwari, mayaman ka, pero for example, you don't like the way you're making that money. Maybe you're making that money kasi meron kang relative abroad at namimiss mo siya, di ba? So, malungkot ka kahit na yumaman ka. Or maybe you're making that money but meron kang trabaho na wala kang natututunan. Pare-pareho yung ginagawa mo araw-araw. Tsaka syempre, I haven't looked at it recently, yung ating inequality levels. Kung, I think mataas pa rin yung inequality, mataas pa rin yung inequality natin. And traditionally, mataas yung inequality natin. So, babalik ako dito sa tanong na to. Pero dito sa issue na to of, high growth, low inflation, pero malaki pa rin yung inequality at malaking dissatisfaction. Pinoy 2.0 ba to, Aris? Kasi ganun din ang sinasabi ng mga tao. More or less itong midpoint ni Noynoy Aquino eh. Ganun din. Parang yung sinabi mo ngayon, halos pwede mo yung sabihin after yung midpoint sona ni Noynoy.
Right, right. Well, apples and oranges naman silang dalawa, no? And
Mm.
definitely, I even saw a post of a colleague, si Kiko D, saying na it's quite shameful to even compare the two. But of course, dahil may history doon, no? But sa akin kasi, if that is the case, if people are making certain parallels, ibig sabihin yung larger economic state ng ating bansa, no, transcends individual presidencies. So ibig
Yes.
sabihin, this is really
Hallelujah.
structural, this is really systemic. Kasi
Mm.
whoever sits in Malacanang, it seems like, no, this disconnect on economic growth and economic well-being of most Filipinos are there. So parang meron kang alternate universe, no? There's a sa ibang bansa that are polarized katulad ng Poland, may tinatawag silang Poland A, Poland B. Poland A is the Poland of the rich, no? Ito yung mga sa atin parang ito yung BGC, ito yung
First world in the third world.
post-materialist. Yes, oo, oo. But you have a Philippines B, no? Uh, and may impacto sa politika if there's this polarization in economic conditions and economic well-being, no? It it traverses and goes into politics. And this is why your
Mm.
politics is like this. No,
Mm.
we keep electing people, no? Uh of a certain kind, of a certain type, of a certain nature because uh they feel na eh dito na lang ako susugal, no? Kasi nga yung mga elites na binoboto ko hindi naman ako nakikinabang doon. So I'll vote for the politicians who will pander to me, no? Yung kaya may mga populists, no? You know this. So in other words, I think it's deep seated, no? We're talking about really certain structural uh, conditions that afflict our economies for the longest time. And I think so long as there is a government of the day that no refuses to address this will define, no? The disconnect in economic well-being and economic growth that kaya nga yung sinasabi na high income by 2040, di ba? Parati tapos pinopostpone nila yung upper middle income status. But even if we reach it, no? Uh, um, ito yung sinasabi ng mga ekonomista like JC, no? JC Punong Bayan. It's like even if we reach it, I I mean, does it really feel like we're a high middle income country? Ang repercussion nun, no, labas na tayo sa mga supposed benefits of being a lower income country, no? And ang ano is mayaman na yung Pilipinas kasi high middle income country na siya.
Ang hirap balansehin 'no, because at the same time 'di ba, nakikita naman natin yung economic growth. I mean, people our age, hindi tayo gano'n katanda, hindi rin tayo gano'n kabata, pero nung bata tayo wala pang BGC or meron ka lang nung Fourth Strip. Tapos talahiban 'yon, tapos ngayon big city na siya. So clearly may yumayaman, clearly may nangyayari, clearly nagbabago yung Pilipinas, pero iba pa rin yung feeling pag on the ground ka at nakita mo yung inequality. And I love the point that you made na hindi naman, it shouldn't be offensive dun sa mga fans ni Pinoy na kinukumpara na at kinukumpara siya kay Marcos because it's not a comparison of personality. It's a comparison of the macroeconomic situation, macroeconomic and political fundamentals of the country na talagang geared towards inequality such that economic growth does not produce the kind of well-being that our people desire. How do you break, I know hindi na to Sona, pero
Ah.
how do you break that? Big question, but how do you break that?
Unang-una, no? We have to really face the reality, no, of our economy, no? Kasi clash to ng visions eh. There are those who believe na, no, let's just keep enlarging the pie. And sooner or later, the distribution will figure itself out. Di ba? It will
Mm.
trickle down, that famous phrase. No? So, but if we don't enlarge the pie, there's nothing to partake. Di ba? So, ito yung ano yung redistribution saka na natin isipin yan. No? Down the road, the market forces will figure itself out. There's no one smarter than the market, and even in terms of redistribution, the visible hand of government should not, no, show itself, no, and should not intervene. But there are those who, kaya lang ang problema kasi, no, at ito, alam mo rin to, no, that uh, kailangan din pagtuunan yung governance to the point that uh, those who are being given political power, no, through elections or through other means, how do they conduct themselves? And
Mhm.
are they, yung sinasabi ni Jeff Winters in his book Oligarchy, are they formulating policies that seek to defend their wealth, that seek
Mm.
to obstruct any form of redistribution, so that, no, yun namang mga talo dito sa economic game na to, hindi naman talong-talo, no? After all, hindi naman zero sum ang lipunan, no? Meaning, well, kung sinwerte ka sa ekonomiya, no, great, no? Kung masipag ka, but those that are yung tinatawag na uncompensated losers, no, in the economy, how do you deal with them? Because these uncompensated losers, ito yung constituency mo for populist
Mm.
authoritarian rule eh. No? These are the ones that are fueled with grievances. No?
Mm.
They easily can be, swayed by demagogues, by populist leaders. So sa akin, I think importante to recognize first that this economic inequality is structural, is systemic, and cannot just be decided by the invisible forces of the market. And this is where governance comes in.
Yeah, hindi pwedeng mong sabihin, hindi porket ang daming mga gagandang mga bagong gusali sa Manila, sa BGC, sa Makati, hindi porket gumaganda yung Manila from an airplane. Ang ganda na ng skyline natin. Hindi, clearly, there's wealth there, pero hindi yun indicator na bumubuti yung pang-araw-araw na buhay ng mga tao. Sige, balik tayo dun sa, sorry, dinistract kita, balik tayo dun sa SONA. Yung isa pang narinig ko, and I don't know if you agree, is I heard some commentators say na itong SONA to, hindi kasing anghang nung previous Sona, like wala ganong patama sa China, ganyan.
Yeah.
Walang big ticket issue na bringing up, like for example yung Pogo, kagaya nung huli. Na parang medyo conciliatory at most niloko niya si PNP chief na naging boksingero na ngayon, may konting parindik kay Baste Duterte. Pero hanggang doon na lang.
Yeah.
Ah, do you agree with yung take na yun na medyo mas malumana ito, hindi kasing adversarial yung Sona na to?
Right. I think yung hindi niya masyado na very very conciliatory yung particularly yung foreign policy part kasi interesado din akong makita kung if he will double down on the country's foreign policy na sa tingin ko, no, to give credit to the government, ito yung mga highest marks niya in terms of policy no.
Oo nga, oo.
Yun, 'di ba? So, hindi siya nag-double down doon. Let's remember, he just came from the United States. And
Mm.
one thing that sa akin yung press con sa White House, dun sa Oval Office with Trump, ang sinabi ni Trump, 'di ba? I don't mind if you get a deal with China. I don't mind if you deal with China. Yung deal na yon, economic yon. So,
Mm.
if you are Marcos Jr., would you still be that adversarial and that assertive on China? Parang sinisignalan na ng Trump to administration, wag ka masyadong umasa sa amin economically. Ah,
Mm.
ah, and without the US buffer economically, kasi yun yung hope natin eh. Kaya nga tayo nag-pivot away from China. Our hope, and this was the promise of the Biden administration, na tutulungan nila tayo not only security-wise but economy-wise.
Mm.
Trump came in.
Yung mga friendshoring, for example,
Exactly, no?
instead of
And
friendshoring, naging tariff.
exactly. No, pagdating naman ni Trump, naging all of a sudden, dinisrupt, no? Yung momentum na supposedly the Philippines and the US would really deepen both yung security given na yun eh, but the non-security aspects of the alliance, no? Kaya
Mm.
pagdating ni Trump, ang unang-una niya, teka, dehado kami ah. Hindi
Mhm.
dapat tong ganito, no? At ayusin nyo yan, no? So, sa tingin ko walang masyadong patama sa Beijing itong SONA na to. It's actually maybe a cautionary note sa presidente na maybe this is not the time to double down on China because the US just, I'm sorry to use the term, no? The US just left us out to dry, no?
Mm.
And therefore we might need to be more prudent, no, in dealing with alternatives to the US. And unfortunately, in terms of the global economy, ang alternative mo sa US, the big alternative, no, is China. So I think kaya medyo yung interpretation ko kung bakit medyo malumanay, no, hindi
Ah.
masyadong rarara, no, to the dissatisfaction of some of the hawks, no, in his
Mm.
own government.
Mm.
Yung dun sa Pogos, let's also remember, and online gambling, let's also remember na may revenue yan eh sa gobyerno eh. No? And I think tinitimbang yon ng gobyerno. Like just banning this, what will be the implication in terms of the revenue and therefore in terms of the ability of this government to fund
Yeah.
its programs. So naninimbang. And this is why tama kay, this SONA is not as authoritative, as assertive as we would like to think. But for me, it's also indicative um na ano na eh, 'di ba? Tapos na yung kumbaga pag midpoint eh. Saan pa ba pupunta 'yon, no? Has the Marcos Jr. administration reached its peak? No?
Mm.
Kasi 'di ba after it reached its peak or zenith, wala nang pupuntahan 'yan eh, 'di ba?
Anong tingin mo naman dun sa mga nagsasabi na after this magle-legacy building mode na si Marcos Jr.?
Supposedly ang legacy building sa simula pa lang 'yan because this is a family that has been given a second chance, 'di ba? Ang sabi nga nila napakaswerte nila, no? So, building a legacy should not be an afterthought. It should have been in the beginning. And this is why ang daming bumili nung idea ng bagong Pilipinas, nung unity, nung another Marcos presidency. Uh, my question is, ano ba yung legacy na to, no? Um, Economy-wise, yung mga pangako on infrastructure, very handful of those we will see sa 2028 eh.
Mm.
What Marcos Jr. administration is doing is just laying out some of the pillars and the elements, but makikita natin to, mararamdaman at magagamit to ng mga tao beyond the Marcos Jr. administration. And pwede nang i-credit claim yun ng susunod na presidente. Hindi na siya. So, hindi niya na legacy yun, di ba? So, sa akin, legacy building, of course, every president wants that. No? But, uh, uh, the Marcos Jr. himself, kasi ako ngayon, ano yung legacy mo? You improve the economy. But so far, kung titingnan ng economic scorecard, macro fundamentals, great. But ang dami mong pinangako eh. Um, ang dami mong sinasabi na an end to politics, no?
Actually, napagtanto ko nga, pwera lang naman ng pandemya, di ba? Sabihin na natin from the late Arroyo period until Duterte, tas nagpandemya, tas ngayon, solid naman yung macroeconomic fundamentals eh. So I don't think we should hang medals on presidents
No.
for having solid macroeconomic fundamentals. Kasi napaka-stable ng population, napaka-stable ng sources of income from services, from remittances. Meron nga ako nakausap na isang ekonomista, sabi niya, kahit unggoy ang ilagay mo sa Malacanang, lalago ang ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. So hindi mo na pwedeng gamitin hindi mo na pwedeng ilagay sa scorecard mo yan.
Yeah. Let's remember, Lelo, yung OFW remittances that are in the billions, if not millions of dollars. These are individual, uncoordinated decisions. This is not as if the government sets out a policy on this and really strategically, plans, no, itong mga to, no. So, in other words, kung may Marcos legacy, ano ba 'yon, no? Sa akin, alam mo, kung tatanungin mo ako kung anong dapat legacy niya is to ano ba yung what are they known for? No?
Ay,
What
marami.
are they known for? No, in terms of of their politics, what are they known for? So
Well,
maybe to
corruption and dictatorship, yung
exactly.
tatay niya.
Exactly. So kung may legacy ka, no? Of course you cannot reinforce what you're known for kasi nga in terms of what you're known for, undesirable, di ba? E di yung yung opposite nun, kaya lang ang problema, you need credibility for legacy building eh. Yung sinasabing mahiya naman kayo,
Mm.
I'm sorry sa kung meron kayong nakikinig ng mga at makikinig at manonood ng mga loyalist, meron kang estate tax na hindi nababayaran. Di ba? In other words, you have putting on an anti-corruption accountability frame for me is performative because kayo mismo, kayong pamilya, ikaw mismo, you have accounts to settle. But we have not heard a single word about those
Mm.
accounts that you need to settle and you need to put closure. So, in terms of legacy sa akin, no? I mean, it's difficult, no? Unless we will all be surprised in the remaining 2 to 3 years.
So ito yung last part of the conversation. I want to talk about nga yung anti-corruption platform ni President Marcos. Nagulat ako doon. Ewan ko kung naive lang ako. Pero I didn't think it was strategic. Gaya kasi, last time nagkaroon tayo ng strong anti-corruption push, it didn't really end well in terms of yung popularity ng president. You may like him, you may dislike him, but the numbers are clear na towards the end of the Aquino 3 administration, mababa yung numbers niya. And regardless of kung anong tulak niyang anti-corruption, hindi niya ma-improve yun. And I think the reason for that is if you promise anti-corruption, makitaan ka ng corruption, yari ka kagad kasi nagbumukha kang hypocritical kahit hindi ikaw mismo yung corrupt. So, why did he do it? Why were his advisors doing that? Gayong actually mahirap sa Pilipinas mag-anti-corruption push.
Right. Sa akin, pwedeng coincidental lang dahil nga dun sa mga pag-ulan at pagbagyo, no? It seems like at some point the SONA speech reflected the current exasperation of the government, no? In terms of yung conditions sa'yo. So, ang hypothetical dito, kung hindi nagkaroon ng maraming baha, will Marcos Jr. be carry on that or use that anti-corruption frame, no? Perhaps kasi lalo let's remember yung budget debacle early this year, no? Uh, to the point na
Mm.
it showed sa akin it showed weak leadership on his part, no? Na to the point na
Talaga.
parang he
Oh.
had to veto the budget. No? Umabot sa ganun when you control both, supposedly, you control both houses of Congress. No? You have a super majority in both chambers of the legislature. So, sa akin, I think carrying on this frame is the attempt of Marcos Jr. to somehow signal that if I want to, I can be, I can be more in control. I can be a bit more, I can use the big stick that presidents have. No? But the problem is, hindi naman siya katulad ni Pinoy na may, at yung Aquino family na may relative credibility and uh, uh, yung brand naman na talaga nila yung anti-corruption. Although of course, we can debate about this relatively. So, sa akin, difficult yan papasukan ni Marcos Jr. if he will be really Ngayon kasi 'di ba parang ano na no, parang ngayon all of a sudden transparency and accountability is so fashionable no.
Mm.
May naririnig tayong mga congressman, mga senador na kung ano-ano, and then magkakaroon ng public exposure kung sino ba yung mga contractors na naging congressman at yung mga congressman na naging contractors, vice versa. The thing is, tama ka no, if it becomes selective, and I hope I'm wrong, because if I'm wrong on my prediction that this will be very selective, then panalo tayong lahat no. If it will be, let the
Yes.
let the axe fall no on whoever, even my allies, even my relatives, and then that will be the day no. We will sing praises no of Marcos Jr. and his government. Kaya lang no, if you're talking about precedents, if you're talking about track record, kung itutuloy itong anti-corruption frame, nag-cabinet revamp nga siya, 'di ba? May napalaba tayo doon. Wala naman, 'di ba? Yung cabinet revamp after the elections kasi nga daw everyone needs to be reassessed, no? But
Nagtatanggal lang siya ng mga DDS.
exactly. Yun
Oo.
naman yun eh, 'di ba? I
Oo.
mean, sa akin nga too late na yun eh. Dapat ginawa niya yun nung nag-break yung unity purge, 'di
Hmm.
ba? I mean, but half-hearted, and then it's like he's walking on eggshells. So, I think itong anti-corruption, it might just be playing to the crowd. Performative nga, no? Just to surprise people and say na, see, I can be this. But following through
Hmm.
this, no? Um, Pwede niyang gawin dyan. Kunyari, yung i-appoint niyang bagong ombudsman, then kasuhan lahat ng ombudsman,
Hmm.
regardless. Diba? Our ombudsman is one of the most powerful institutions in the world. Kasi hindi mo kailangan ng reklamo eh. The ombudsman can investigate and file cases on his own. No? Other ombudsmen, hindi yan sa ibang bansa kailangan may mag-file. No?
Kailan na nga ba ang next appointment?
I mean, I think in a matter of few months.
Malapit na, okay.
Lapit na. So
Interesting.
this will be
Oh.
the ombudsman that Marcos Jr. will appoint kasi it will cross over to the term of the new president eh.
Hmm. Wala siyang nabanggit na mga ganyan, no? Paano niya
Hindi rin niya
i-concretize?
nabanggit yung ombudsman, di ba? So, I mean, sa akin nga parang yung corruption, it was a late addition on his part eh. Yung anti-corruption. Maybe siningit lang niya yun. Kasi I can totally imagine a Sona na wala yun eh. No? So talagang para tong late addition, no? And but it received the most recognition. Kaya nga nung in a way, I have to admit, natuwa ako ng konti nung nabanggit niya yon. But just like the other commentators and pundits, na-realize ko na yung mga nagtayo ang politiko at yung mga nag-celebrate, aware ba sila na parang maybe some of them sila yung pinatatamaan nito, and yet so what does that signal? It signals that they're quite comfortable with whatever their political position is, kasi kahit
Hmm.
magkaroon ng anti-corruption drive,
Hindi
hindi
sila
sila
niniwala tatamaan sila. Oo nga,
exactly.
no?
So it's impunity eh. The mere fact that you have the gall and the hypocrisy, no? Knowing na kung lalabas man yung katotohanan, sabi ni Senator Lacson, di ba, there are 67 members of Congress. No? So, in fact, some of the news items already are identifying some of these contractors, no, na members of Congress, no.
Hmm.
So, uh, um, it will be highly interesting, but the prospects are not that good. That this anti-corruption drive will be unprecedented, or will just be, ano lang, parang pang-distract lang, or pang ano lang, pang-entertain lang sa atin, no, while uh, we're sorting out other issues like the ICC trial and the impeachment.
Parang ang lumalabas dito, wala na siyang alas kasi hindi na niya kayang gamitin yung alas na mag-anti-China siya kasi wala nang pera galing sa US. Ito na lang yung huli niyang alas, itatry niya mag-anti-corruption. But is it true na wala siyang alas? Because I also, some people say na quietly, marami naman siyang nagawa in terms of justice, like yung si Teves na pakulong, si
Yeah.
Duterte nasa ICC, si Kibuloy, ganyan. And then you have a very popular PNP chief in Nick Torre. Baka yung law and order yung alas mo, or yung Justice Department, yung PNP yung alas mo. Para sa tingin mo, hindi na ginagamit yung alas na yun?
Well, you have to be first and foremost, you have to be uh on top of things. Meaning, alam mo dapat. But sa akin kasi parang si BBM, he's such a laid back president.
Mm.
To the point na may mga alas siya, but it's another point whether he will use it. Kaya nga medyo opposite siya ni Duterte, ni Rodrigo Duterte. Rodrigo Duterte exercises power for its own sake, 'di ba? I have power, I will use it, no? Um what we have observed with Marcos Jr. is that napaka-hesitant, no? Ayaw in terms of being able to really command the bureaucracy, command his political coalition on Congress, no? Parang lumalabas, sige, gusto nyo, kung gawin nyo. Kung hindi, okay lang. Walang threats, walang sanctions, walang I am in control, in this house, ako yung masusunod. Although nabanggit ngayon na I will not sign a budget na hindi tumutupad sa version ko, no? But sobra naman yon. I mean, it's to the point na in-undermine mo naman yung checks and balances that operate within the budget process. So he can't seem to find the right, no, temperament and balancing that is indicative of, for me, strong and decisive leadership. Eh.
Ito medyo mahirap sagutin pero let's try to prognosticate. Kunwari nag-angas talaga si presidente, sinabi niya, I'm a law and order president. Yung mamamatay tao sa drug war, pinadala ko sa ICC. Yung cult leader, pinakulong ko. Kita niyo yung PNP chief ko. Siya nagkulong dito kay Kibuloy, kaya pinomote ko siya. At kayong mga tao nagagaya kay Kibuloy or kay Duterte, kayo susunod. PNP chief, please tumayo po kayo, palakpakan natin, ganun. Mag-angas siya ng ganun. How do you think that would have landed? Oh, he's obviously afraid of doing that. Maybe he has a reason too, but how do you think that would have landed?
Well, I think walang that there is no cost on the part of Marcos Jr. to double down on law and order and security, no? Ang ano is this something that people will accept na tatak Marcos 'yan, no? Ang problema kasi hindi naman siya yung credibility tsaka yung is he known for is not really and law and order, and the way that he has packaged himself, 'di ba? Ang sabi niya, I'm an economy president. I'm not, 'di ba? Parang yun yung akin.
Okay.
But kung titingnan mo nga yung ekonomiya, may disconnect, no? So if you're talking about legacy building, I think, no, it's too late. Yung anti-corruption drive kasi dun siya pinupuntirya ng mga DDS trolls, 'di ba? Yung notion that there's so much corruption in the government right now. This is the ano ng mga DDS to counter na anong time ni Duterte, which is of course not true. Wala namang ganyan. Ngayon nag-ano ulit. No, so in other words, I don't know if there's still time for Marcos to repivot. But sa akin, if he takes on law and order and make it an emphasis of his remaining years, sa akin walang cost yun on him eh. It's just a problem of to what extent it will be believable, no?
Mm.
Kasi nga he has to battle this perception that is amplified by disinformation na that he is not doing anything as far as law and order is concerned.
Wow. So siguro may konting alas, pero meron talagang branding problem. We're running out of time. We need to close now. Pero for my closing and maybe for both our closing, let's just zoom out kasi napagtanto ko during the conversation na SONA is a perfect opportunity to personalize politics dahil nga may isang presidente tumatayo sa harap ng Kongreso, nagsasalita bilang presidente, bilang isang individual. But ironically, in this conversation, the most important thing I realized is that the president is, in so many ways, the president is not important. Kung ang problema nitong presidenteng to ay problema ng presidente before him, na problema ng presidente before him, na problema ng presidente before him, maybe there's a bigger story that we should be telling here. And as much as it is important, hindi natin sinasabing don't tune into the SONA, because as citizens, we should listen to our president, and the success of our president is our success. We should wish him the best kahit ayaw natin sa kanya, kahit gusto natin siya. But but we should also be paying, we should primarily be paying attention to that larger story. So it's that balance that I think we should be trying to achieve. Yun lang naman yung closing comment ko. Professor Arugay, what do you want to leave our audience with?
For scholars like us, no, and those who are studying politics, itong SONA na to, no, parati natin itong hinihimay, no. We overanalyze it sometimes. But nung nakikinig ako nung SONA last week, ang inisip ko, how do ordinary Filipinos, those who, yung sa kanila malayo yung politika sa pang-araw-araw nilang buhay, the Filipinos who are just trying to make both ends meet. Filipinos who have to deal with horrendous traffic, with flooding, with insufficient wages, with precarity, no? With all of that. How parang sa kanila jarring yung SONA eh. Kasi kung ano-anong sinasabi ni Marcos Jr., at the end of the day, may nagbago ba sa buhay ko? May nagbago ba sa kondisyon ko, sa kondisyon ng komunidad ko, sa kondisyon ko in terms of my work, in terms of my life, in terms of my family? Aangat ba yung pamilya ko sa susunod na henerasyon? Yung mga anak ko ba magkakaroon ng mas magandang buhay kaysa sa akin? Or will they be trapped in a vicious cycle? Sa tingin ko, unless SONA, kasi yung SONA Performative Act, no? Unless governance and the leadership that is behind this governance makes that connection to Filipinos who are just trying to survive, no? Sa tingin ko yung SONA is magiging malayo sa pang-araw-araw na grounded experience o karanasan ng mga taong bayan. And ang final point ko is to reinforce your idea na the president might be powerful, but hindi rin siya ganun ka-powerful in the sense na his ability to be able to make widespread changes. Marami ring tanikala or chains or obstruction or constraints ang leadership, regardless of this type of leader. Even Duterte had to face constraints because there are prevailing forces larger than all of us, whether you're the president or you're an ordinary Filipino, that must be addressed. And I think it will only be addressed collectively, no, systematically, and for a long time. But if we don't start now, then we will just reinforce all of this. And whoever sits in Malacanang, no, parati tayong may great expectations, but at the end, these structural forces will just pull any type of leadership down to the reality na hindi, may systemic constraints. And unless these constraints are addressed, we're not going anywhere, and this will be the status quo.
And fortunately and unfortunately, when that happens again, pag may SONA na naman at meron na namang structural problems na kailangan pag-usapan inside and outside of the SONA, makumbida namin kayo ulit, Professor Aris Arugay, dito sa Proyekto Pilipino para ipaalala sa ating mga viewers ang sinabi natin ngayon at sasabihin, and surely sasabihin natin ulit next year. So magkita-kita tayo doon, and hopefully sooner than that. Maraming salamat, Chairperson ng UP Political Science Department, Professor Aris Arugay.